human design is a spiritual and scientific system. So it's scientific in the sense that it's based on human genetic coding. And the spiritual side is that it's based on four ancient spiritual wisdom, which are astrology, the Kabbalah tree of life, the Chinese I Ching, and the Hindu chakra system.
Hello, welcome to Expansion Lab, the expansion of love as I evolve. Let's learn together a holistic approach about how to connect mind, body, and spirit. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Expansion Lab podcast. We have Gina Al-Khoury, who is human design reader, and she's also my classmate. So I'm so happy and so thankful that you're here. I have so many questions. I don't know anything about human design. I've seen it everywhere lately. If you go to social media, if you go anywhere, honestly, it's kind of like becoming like an astrology kind of a thing. And I don't know. And I was looking into like, what's my type? Am I a manifestor? What am I? And so I really need to do a show about this because I need to know more. And I want people to also get to know and get on board about what is human design.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and we should actually do your chart after this or something so we can find out what energy type you are.
That would be
But to
great.
give like an intro of what human design actually is, because as you're saying, it is kind of spreading a lot more. It was a lot more niche before. But basically, human design is a spiritual and scientific system. So it's scientific in the sense that it's based on human genetic coding. And the spiritual side is that it's based on four ancient spiritual wisdom, which are astrology, the Kabbalah tree of life, the Chinese I Ching, and the Hindu chakra system. So it's a lot of things. So when you combine them all together.
But they're so powerful. I mean, I love astrology. I love the Hinduism. And then which other would you said? The I Ching.
Yeah.
I grew up with my dad has a book of the I Ching, and it will be like a book that they say that you open just to answer some questions if they're so important. And my dad will always say like, no, you don't open this book. This is only when it's like very important questions. And he will be the only one that will ask questions to the I Ching. So I mean, that's why it's interesting to me.
Amazing.
But please continue with the explanation.
Yeah, so it is based on very ancient spiritual wisdoms that are like thousands of years old. But human design was actually channeled in the 80s, so like not that long ago, by a man named Ra-Uru-Hu. He like renamed himself to that. And he was in an 8-day meditation, and he channeled how all of these systems can come together and create this new system that we call human design. So it's also very new, which is why it's not like super known. And so it works similar to astrology, that like everybody can get their own personal human design chart. So you put your birth date, time, and place, like astrology, and it generates your chart, like the software creates your chart. And so your human design chart is both descriptive and practical. So it's descriptive in that it just tells you so much about yourself and how your energy works. It's like truly a map of who you are and how to go about life to create success, fulfillment, happiness, like all the things we want. So to give like a little bit more examples of the kinds of things in a chart, it tells you your energy type, how your emotions work, how your mind works, how you communicate, the best environments for you to be in, and then like so much more. It takes me 3 hours to do a full reading. So I break it up in 2 or 3 sessions. And then it's also very practical. So you have what's called your strategy and your authority, and everyone has their own like unique combination. There's about 6 or 7 different combinations you could be, and it basically tells you how to go about doing and creating things in life, and how to make decisions. So it's super practical, like you can really apply it in your everyday life, and it builds a lot of self-awareness because it tells you who you are. And the idea is that everybody has their own unique blueprint, their own unique chart. And if everybody lives out their chart perfectly, then we live in a perfectly harmonious world because everyone is like playing the role they're meant to play in this life.
That sounds so perfect. It sounds incredible.
It is perfect.
Because like, with astrology, well, I believe in astrology Like, I listen to astrology every day, and I see how the everything astrology is like. I'm there. But it's your chart, right? And as you say, and there is a website where you can actually take out your chart, or of course you can have it read by somebody. But it's, well, it's based on the planets, right? So on this, there is a website, I guess, or where you can take your chart, but it's not based on planets. It's based of all these three theologies that you mentioned: the I Ching, the
Kabbalah.
astrology, the Kabbalah, the astrology, and the Hinduism. So three, four.
The four, but you said them all.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
it's based on everything, but it is
Fused
based on
together.
exactly. So like the chakra system and the Kabbalah tree of life combine, so that in human design you actually have 9 energy centers. Whereas in the chakra system there's 7 chakras. In human design you have 9 energy centers because it combines those two wisdoms. And then the planetary impact is based on astrology. So you'll have it fuses everything. Like you'll have the gifts from the I Ching combine with the planets in astrology. So I might have like my gift 5 in like the moon or something. But that's all like getting in a lot of detail that as like you don't need to know if I read your chart, you know what I mean? But
Yes.
there's a lot that goes into it, definitely.
I want you to read my chart, please. Let's do our
Definitely
next.
we'll do it.
Our next meeting is gonna be reading that chart. That is
Yes.
super interesting. I didn't know includes all of those systems that I truly believe too. So it's like the final, the integration of all of it together. That sounds super good. And how you can actually tell a person by, like, it's also by, like, where they're coming from, where they were born, like
Yeah,
the
it's like
place of birth.
astrology.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the date, place, time of birth. That's the only information you need. You put it
Mhm.
into a software. There's tons of like free chart generators online, like astrology. And when you put it in, it creates your chart because it's basically the energy that I don't want to get too scientific, but it's like the energy you were at the moment you were born. That's the energy stream that was hitting you, is what your chart details. It's that plus 3 months before your birth, which is sort of when the soul comes into the body. And so it combines those two things, and that's what creates your chart. So you don't need a lot of information to do it, just that birth info, and it will end up telling you so much about yourself. And then what's really useful is that, like, when you get a chart reading or when you learn about your chart, there's some parts of it that are going to resonate so much with you that you'll be like, that's exactly me. You'll see yourself in it. Even if it's parts of you that like you know, maybe you weren't sure about or hid, or people didn't tell you it was a good thing, or society doesn't accept it. Like now you know how much it's a part of your inherent self, and you can lean into it even more. But then there's
So,
also always parts of your chart that you probably won't resonate with. And that shows you exactly where your life experiences made you stray away from who you really are. And so now you can see how to reconnect to who you truly are and decondition, basically.
whoa, that sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
It's
That
very
sounds
powerful for like deconditioning, you know?
That's what it sounds. It made me think
Mm-hmm.
about the our class, like our current class in the
Mm-hmm.
coach Chopra coaching, about the shadow, right? And what part of you that
Exactly.
what resonates and what doesn't, and what is you and what you don't actually want to hear about yourself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what is the downside of the human design?
I don't really think there is a downside, to be honest, because I think it's more like there are challenges
Uh-huh.
with it, which is like, I guess, okay, if I were to say something is a challenge, is that it's so detailed that some people, like, it goes so deep. Like I was saying, it takes me 3 hours to do a full personal chart reading, that like you could get lost in how much there is. But that's why you always have to remind the person, like I do reminders throughout the reading, that you always want to go back to your strategy and your authority, which is so your authority is um, how you make decisions, and your strategy is how you go about like doing things and creating things. And if you
Okay.
just do
Yes.
those two things,
Mm-hmm.
over time you end up living out your entire chart anyway. So even if you don't remember anything else in your chart, if you remember that, and your energy type is also really important. Like if you just master those really, really like basic parts of the chart, the rest will flow. But I think some people can get lost in like, whoa, there's so much going on. So
Yes,
yeah.
I have the authority and strategy here. That was one of the other questions. Like, what are the strategy and the authority of human design, and why are they so important?
Yeah, so there's different combinations that you can have, like depending on your chart. And they're very important because like when you follow them, everything else in your chart aligns. So you live as much according to your chart as you can, which means that you're living in alignment, which means that you're playing your role in this world, which then means that you make more space for other people to play their role because you're not acting like someone you're not meant to be.
This
So
is
that's why it's
super
really
cool.
important. It's
Yes.
really amazing. And it's actually, once you grasp it, it's very simple. I'll give an example of my strategy and authority just to give an example, but there's definitely a lot more and we could sit here forever to talk about them. But mine is so my strategy is to respond, which means that, and a lot of people are the same as me. So instead of always initiating and starting things and like always, go, 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 the idea is that the universe is always sending me signs of things that I might be into or not into. So everything that happens throughout my day, from like, the coffee shop I might go to, the texts I'm getting, the people I'm interacting with, everything, the bus that drives by me, whatever, everything is a sign for me to see, like, do I like this or do I not like this? And so if I get a sign and I'm like, oh, this is interesting, then I can go take as much action as I want, but I need to wait for my sign. And what we do a lot of the time, people like me, is just go, go, go without waiting for a sign, nothing. And then what you end up doing is often working way harder than you need to get done what you want to get done. And either that's like a waste of time or it's frustrating, or you just keep hitting a wall and you're not even like getting done what you want to get done. So it's like really having this element of patience, which is not just like sitting on the couch doing nothing. It's like being alert to everything that happens, knowing that you're being gifted with, signs all the time for you to see what you like and you don't like. Some people describe it, and I think it's kind of a good analogy, like, the sushi conveyor belts. I don't feel like we have a lot of those anymore, but,
Yes.
like, it's like life is a sushi conveyor belt and you just pick
The,
the ones you want. You don't need to take all of
you
them.
choose your battles. Well, I mean, you choose your
Yeah.
sushi, I guess.
You choose your
Yes.
sushi. Like when it comes in front of you, though, you don't choose the sushi that's like all the way over there. Like when it comes in front of you, you say yes or no.
Right.
So that's how to make decisions. And it takes practice in the beginning to get comfortable with it, because it's hard to be patient when, we're not conditioned to wait. We're conditioned to like, say that it's a good thing to be a go-getter and all of that. So that's the strategy. And then my authority is my gut response. So my gut is how I make my decisions. So the gut is in human design is very black and white. It answers in like yes or no. It doesn't really deal in maybes, and it's also in the present moment. So the gut knows yes or no answers right now. So I can't ask it, in 3 months will I want to do X or something. It's like right now I can ask it, do I want pasta or a salad for dinner? And instead of thinking about it or making pros and cons lists or like, debating, oh, well, salads are healthier, but, I'm craving pasta and I haven't had it. Instead of all that mental chatter, I just check in with my gut. I literally just, you put your hands on your belly, on your gut. And when you feel like a sense of expansion or like an energy rising, that's a yes. Sometimes there's even people that make like, if somebody else asks you a yes or no question, you might make a sound like before you say something, you might be like, uh-huh, or like, oh, and which is like yes
Yeah.
or no. And then the no
Yes.
is the opposite. It's like the contraction or the like closing in. And so the more you practice, the more you activate your gut more and more, and sort of shift the power from the mind to the gut in terms of decision making. But it takes some practice in the beginning to get used to it, because it's really hard to tell the mind not to
Yes.
make the decisions for you.
Yes.
So you start with very small things like, what do I have for dinner tonight or something? And then you can build up to bigger life decisions. And the more you do it, the more you realize that like your gut leads you to decisions that are so perfect that your mind would have never come up with. And when you see that, that's when you're like, now you can trust it. You've built up your own evidence that it works. So then it starts to become magical when you're like used to it, because you don't even need to use your mind and torture yourself with all these thoughts. You just check in with yes or no.
It
So
sounds
that's just an
amazing.
example of mine. There's other ones for different people.
Well, and also, like, I mean, I don't know, but I always believe that your God actually tells you, like, yes or no. You have a, like, you have a feeling in your God, like yes or no. And like, the way I always seen it is like as is intuition, but maybe it's not intuition in human design; it's something else. But it's like your God, like it will give you like an answer, no? The energy that it moves there, and it will tell you yes or no. Who knows?
Yeah, well, what's interesting is for the majority, for a lot of people, that is their gut is a really important part of their design, but actually not for everyone. There are a few energy types
Oh
that
wow.
don't have a defined gut in human design. They don't have like that energy center
Also, it's not a
defined.
principle for everybody.
No, this was an example for me.
Oh,
That's like one
okay.
of the old, yeah, there's a lot of different types. This is just like mine to give an
Okay.
example of
Uh-huh.
the kinds of ways that it's practical, but
Okay.
other people will have their own
So
systems.
it's deep. You have to listen to different part of your body for answers. It's not everybody
Different
would.
people, yeah.
Okay.
Like my number one source of wisdom is my gut. For other people, it's their spleen or their emotions. It's a lot of different things. It's really interesting.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so and then I guess we're talking about the body graph and the types of human designs. Can
Hmm.
you like tell us briefly? I know there are so many, and like we don't have to go through it. Like we just went to yours, which
Yeah.
it's like whoa. But can you tell us briefly about what are the types and
Yes.
what are the body graphs? I guess.
Yes. So in human design, there's five different energy types, and each person is just one energy type. And that basically determines how you function. It's like the overarching part of your chart in a sense. So the types are generator, manifesting generator, projector, reflector, and manifestor. And I'll give a brief example of mine again, just so if we go through the five, it'll take forever.
Yes.
But so I'm a generator, and so generators are basically here to create good energy for the world. Like the word generator, literally generates energy that other people can feed off of. And the way we do that is by doing things we love. So the more I do things I'm excited about and I'm into, the more that energy bleeds out into the world and other people can pick up on it. So generators are very led by their gut, like I was saying before. So like that's really the source of wisdom. The gut tells you what you're really excited about or what you're not excited about. Excitement is like a big thing for generators. So like we have sometimes very physical reactions to things. So like when you're excited about something, that's like your gut telling you go do it, like do something with this, because that's what you're meant to be doing. Like your gut's literally pulling you towards that thing. And when you're getting the opposite, that's your gut telling you like this isn't for you to do. Like you're not creating any good energy when you do that. And so a lot of generators, their conditioning growing up is that they are very duty oriented. They realize they're here to make people happy, but they think that it's by doing what other people want, by helping other people, or by living by duty of like, I should be good at school or I should be like this or like that. And so you end up living by like, I should, I need to, I must, I have to, those kinds of phrases, and you completely forget about what you actually want to do. You forget about your own like wants and needs. So generators tend to be on a journey to reconnect back to what they actually want, because they're correct that they're here to like make other people happy, but the way you make other people happy is by doing what you love, because that's what creates that good energy that we don't see tangibly, but it just happens. And it's only when you start doing it that you realize it. So it's like a journey of deconditioning from that. And there's more detail about it, but I feel like this is like the description in a nutshell. So that's like the one of the energy types. And then the body graph that you were talking about, this is basically the body graph is a whole, it's a complex thing to describe, but in short, there's the 9 energy centers that you can either have defined or undefined, meaning you have your own source of energy or you're affected by other people's energy in each of these 9 centers. And so then I explain what that means and how to work with each of them. And then you have all the I Ching gifts that lie along the body graph that basically tell you all the different personality traits you have. Um, and it's a little more complex than that, but like that's the, you know, sort of high level version of it.
We need to
So,
make,
yeah.
we need to do a reading, and then we'll do another show with after my reading. I swear we're gonna do that.
That sounds really fun, actually.
I promise we're gonna do
Yeah.
that. If I mean, if the time
Amazing.
allows, like, we'll do it. I know, like, right now, just so for everybody that is listening, and since you guys are listening, why not? We're taking the Kosha the Chopra certification for coaching, and Gina and I, like, we are in like our last 2 weeks, no, our last month, because
Yeah.
it ends in June, and we have like webinars and classes Tuesdays, Wednesdays in the morning,
Hmm.
and it's like very intense. So after this, or in the mean, like, whenever we have time, we're gonna do the reading. And you can do reading. Did you
Hmm.
do reading for anyone, Gina? If someone is listening and they want to do a
Yeah.
reading with you, they can just contact you and you will do the reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody has a chart, so anyone.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so I'll do
Yeah.
my, and then after I do my reading, we'll do another show and we'll talk about, okay, Gina, I got all this. Please talk to me
Hmm.
about it. So that sounds super cool. And then anyone that is
Yeah.
interested, you can also book your reading with Gina, and we can come back and regroup.
Regroup.
After now we
Yeah.
know a little bit more, but
Yeah.
yes, so okay, but yes, let's do that. Let's get the time to do that stuff. um
Definitely.
the practical application, what is that? I mean, I it says here how someone can start experimenting with their design in daily life. So how the human design will kind of help me, like, let's say I don't know anything about it, and how does that help me in the daily life with everything I have to
Hmm.
do, whatever I want to do in my life?
I think so. The most important part to start with is understanding your energy type and trying to work accordingly with it. And then your strategy and authority that we were talking about before, because that's literally like how do you go about your days? It helps you with what you do and with what decisions you make. So I'd say you start there, but then once you're getting more comfortable with that, there's like so many other parts of your chart that you can explore. I think the energy centers are very interesting because that's where a lot of conditioning lies. So I was saying some of them are defined, which means you have your own source of energy in them, and some of them are open, which means that you absorb other people's energy in them. And so the open ones often describe where a lot of your conditioning is. But because of the way our societies are, you could even get conditioning in your closed ones. But I'll give you an example that for me was really life changing to discover. So my solar plexus, which is where our emotions are, is open, which means that I don't really have my own emotional wave. I actually absorb other people's emotions. So when I say emotional wave, I mean like the spectrum of high, happy, like joyful to like low, sad, down. I don't mean like feelings like frustration or anger or resentment that, like, you know, if you get an email at work and your mind starts saying this is so annoying and then you get frustrated, like that happens to everyone because your mind just makes up whatever stories that tell you how to feel. But the emotional wave of like that happy to sad spectrum is something that I don't have. About 50% of the population has it, 50% doesn't. That's what they say. I don't know how accurate it is, but
Wow.
I don't. And I grew up in a family with parents and two sisters that all have their emotional wave. So I basically, when I learned that, I realized this whole time of my childhood, I was absorbing the emotions of four different people without knowing. And
Mhm.
because emotions are foreign to my body because I don't have my own, when it like feels them from other people, it makes them even bigger inside of me. So like if someone in the house is sad at like a 4 out of 10, I feel their sadness at like a 7 out of 10. And
Oh,
then,
wow.
so like in my family, it was like a cute thing that I'm the one that cried all the time. Like anytime someone's sad,
And
I'm
you said
crying.
you're
And
absorbing all
like,
that.
exactly, like this whole time,
Oh
I'm not the
my.
emotional one, you are, but I'm just showing
I'm
you
just
your
absorbing
emotions,
all of
you
your.
know?
Oh no.
Exactly. So that the empaths are usually these people, you know, the ones that like, if you read the news for too long, you're like crying all day. Like that's because
Yes.
we feel it literally in our body. It's not like, people with an emotional wave can still like intellectually empathize with you, but I would literally feel the emotion in my body as if it's mine.
Huh.
And so when you learn that, then you learn how you can actually use that as a superpower and not be like, destroyed
The
under
being
it,
affected,
basically.
yes, because you can get
Yes.
destroyed, especially like what you said, right? You talk about news. And part of the reason why I started doing this podcast is because I was so done and tired of news and politics. And it was so
Hmm.
depressing that I was feeling and I was like, okay, I'm going to explore my
Yeah.
other side that I really like. And it has been my private side, like all the astrology, everything that I
Hmm.
like, everything that this podcast is about everything that I love that I never put out there because it was like, this is my, it's too much of mine that
Hmm.
I'm not going to share it.
Yeah.
So only people that were like really close knew, and I could talk about it with them. But all the outward is like news, politics, like that's what I do.
Hmm.
That's what I've been doing, working, etc. Policy. And now it's like, no, it just, I don't want it anymore. It does affect me. It drains me. Like if I
Yeah.
hear news or anything, it's just like, ugh, I'm done with this. So it's interesting that you brought up that the news part and whatever emotions,
Yeah.
right? That you get affected and like, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, because you can see, like, based on your chart, you could see where, a lot of people feel that way about the news, that, like, it's
Mhm.
just depressing, but you can see in different parts of your chart how it might be affecting you. So, like, for me, for example, it would be more on the emotional side, like, it would get me emotionally. But for other people, for example, who have an open spleen, the spleen is where your survival instincts are. It's like the first energy center that ever existed. It's like your survival instinct, basically. It's super primal. So for people who have an open spleen, who absorb like fears and anxieties and like the survival instinct from the outside, if you read the news, you might end up like terrified of everything, terrified of the world, and just like,
Yes.
because people in the news can be very fear mongering. So if you have an open spleen, you're going to feel that even more. So that's like a different example of how you could feel it. So there's that's where you see where the conditioning gets you, so you can understand more where your deconditioning work lies.
Wow, this sounds beyond what I thought that it was cool and interesting. It's like,
Good, I'm
what?
glad.
Oh, Gina, I love it.
Yeah.
Please, I want to do my chart. So next step will be doing my chart. You guys will book your chart, your reading with Gina or with whoever you want, and then we'll regroup to talk about this human design. Right before we go, we have 30 minutes, and I know that you're probably busy, and so but I wanna keep I know people are here right now, and I want to hear, is anything else that we need to know before we go do our chart?
There is so much to know, so I think like if I start now, I don't think I can tell you in 2 minutes. But I think the key thing with human design, regardless of where you get a reading or if you just generate your chart online or whatever, the key really is to remember that don't get overwhelmed by how much info there is. If you just start by energy type, strategy, and authority, and just try to master that only, you're already going to get like very far with living more aligned to who you truly are, and you will see the changes in your life. It just takes time to master those three things. But focusing
Wow.
on those things as opposed to like getting lost in the whole chart, I think is like the key of where to start with
So
human design
strategy, authority,
and your energy type.
and your energy type, and with that we can start to know more about human design and kind of get to know who you are and how to apply it to the
Exactly.
world.
Who you are and how to function, like literally how to make decisions, how to act, like how to go
Wow.
about doing things.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So would that, would my
Yeah.
charge tell me like how should do I supposed to function?
Yeah, basically. I mean, it tells you like how to do stuff, how to create things, like how to go about it. It doesn't tell you like for each situation, it just tells you what your mechanism is and then you apply it to your situation. You'll
Right.
see when we do your reading, I think it'll
Yes,
like
no, please
be
let's do it. Let's
clearer.
book this thing. So
Yes.
everyone go book your reading for human design. I'm gonna book mine with Gina. You can book it with whoever you want, and then we're gonna regroup and we're gonna do another show about what about after the reading, because I'm gonna have a lot of questions. If that's you saying that it's like 3 hours, like
Yeah.
even with astrology, right? If you read your chart too,
It's like
uh,
1 hour.
Yes, and there are so many questions, and it's pretty like impossible to like be explained in just once. Or like if you go
Mhm.
and check your chart, it's like okay, every day is different, right? It depends how the
Yeah.
planets are, etc. So how would that happen with the human design?
So human design doesn't have that part. Like astrology is great for more predictive things. Like it will tell you more about like, the days, months, years to come, what parts of your chart will be activated. Human design isn't future looking. So it's
It's
more
just
about like the
about you, who you are.
self-awareness and who you are and like the practical, like how do you act day to day? Like how do you make decisions? What do you do? It won't tell you about like what's coming up in the future.
I wanted to before we go. I mean, and obviously, if you have
Hmm.
any other thing to mention, but I wanted to ask about the Kabbalah. That we I think we
Yeah.
briefly I asked you at the beginning of the show. What's the relationship between the Kabbalah and the human design?
Yeah, so in Kabbalah, there's what they call the tree of life, which is these 10 different levels of the soul. And so the way that it works is that it combines so the Hindu chakra system has those seven chakras. The tree of life is 10, but the last two combine as one in human design. So that's how you end up with nine energy centers, which sounds a little bit confusing. But it basically is the basis of the nine energy centers that are in the body graph.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do need to do my human design and see my graph so I can understand it better. But it's definitely super
Yes.
interesting, and I invite everyone to do it. And thank you, Gina, for your time and for your expertise. Um, it's amazing, right? That you get to know someone, and then it's so much more interesting than you
Hmm.
thought. That has so much information, and thank you. I appreciate it. I thank you for your time. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was really fun. And I'll just say I don't really have social media. So if someone wants to reach out for their chart, maybe we put my email in the show notes or something like that.
This sounds super
We can
cool.
figure it
Why
out.
you don't have social media, Gina? It's so weird to find somebody these days
I
with no social media.
I
But
have
I get
personal
it.
social media that I never
I
use. Honestly, that
no.
I rarely use. Like I look at it, but I don't post. Honestly, well, actually, it goes really well with talking about human design because
Uh-huh.
when you understand your charts in human design, you realize that you're really here to do things exactly as you want to do them and not necessarily how other people say
Everybody
you
else
should do
does.
things or how society says that a successful business is run or whatever. And I know that I don't really like care about social media. I don't really
I
enjoy it that
love
much.
it. I
And there's
love it.
nothing wrong with it. It's just like a personal thing. And as a generator, I know I'm really supposed to do what I love. And I know that if I had to post every day or every week, I would not
Uh,
be happy. I
Look,
wouldn't be
it's
enjoying it.
so hard. It's super hard. Like I
Yeah,
started
I mean,
this.
some people like are really good at it or like are into it. I'm just like, it's not my thing. Maybe, but then at this, so right now I don't have social media, but I don't
But
discount that, like, maybe in
that
two
you may
years
open
something
yours.
will
Yes.
change. You never know. But
No,
for
I
now, it's just not my thing. And I don't want, I don't think we need to subscribe to, you need social media to get a lot of clients or to get a lot of followers, and then that grows your business. Like,
you get
I think
all
if
my
it's not
respect for
authentic to
this.
you,
No,
thank you.
like I
It's just
I
not
I
authentic to me now.
No, this is perfect. I'll tell you what, I do have my social media. I have my personal IG that I have for like ever. And then I
Hmm.
have a business. I have a little food truck that does acai bowls. And so I have the media for that.
Hmm.
And then I started an IG account for the podcast. And it's hard to start it.
Do it
It's hard
all.
to follow. You have to post
Yeah.
so many. And then how did you get all these million followers? I mean, and the reason why I started is because it gives you a channel out to show about what's your show, what's your episode, what's a podcast. So for what I do, I feel like I need it, but it's hard. It's not for everyone. I'm like, oh no, I'm dying just with the social media part.
You're
So I
you're
totally get
making me
it.
think
It's
of the limiting beliefs that we're learning about in coaching of,
yes,
maybe you don't need to do social media if it's tiring and you don't enjoy it. Like I think
that's
the more
right.
you do whatever is aligned and authentic to you, the
Yes,
more you will find your success and fulfillment.
absolutely.
So that's kind of what I'm going off of now. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I
Mhm.
absolutely love it. Thank you so much. And thank you for that. I mean, definitely we integrate everything, right, that we learn, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
very glad. I'm very glad that you were able to come to the show, and thank you for everything.
Yeah,
I really mean it. Let's do the chart, and then let's do another show to talk about it. Like, I think that
amazing.
would be super cool, because it sounds to me that there is way more information than I thought about this, and it's way more interesting than I expected. So I think it would be
Yeah.
amazing. And usually, what I have been doing with with the podcast is that, let's say I do. I haven't done my tarot yet, but if you do a tarot show first, I'll go and I do a tarot reading with that person, and then I'll
Mm,
talk about it. I did the Akasha healings, and it was the same, and everything. Like, I've been trying to first, like, do it myself, and then I can talk
mm,
about with people. This one wasn't that the case, but we're gonna do it, and then we're gonna come back and talk. Okay.
amazing. We'll do it the other way around, but we'll do it.
Thank you so much. Anything
Thank you
else you
so
wanna
much.
say?
No, I think we covered a lot, but thank you so much. This was so good.
Thank you, Gina.